The man who asked Charlie the last question he ever answered before he was murdered speaks out on CNN. And it's interesting that he was attempting to point out how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. So I guess that, that has disillusioned him on the idea that people on the left are actually the peaceful side.
And people have obviously pointed to the irony that the point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful.
Well, sadly, Hunter, all the language and the rhetoric that has been coming from the left hasn't been peaceful. Calling people, Yahtzees, you're calling them homophobes, istophobes, everyphobe, labeling them and dehumanizing them, stripping them of their humanity is not being peaceful. And I'm going to, just show you a few things right after this video plays through about how the, leadership, and public figures of the Democrat Party and, top left-leaning influencers have framed language that literally makes it impossible for anyone who supports their policies to see Republicans or conservatives as anything but a problem that needs to be erased.
And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk. But man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy?
Now, we have videos of leftists cheering. This guy was at the event asking a question. We have evidence of another student who attended celebrating right after Charlie Kirk was shot. Moments after he was hit with a bullet and fell down bleeding with blood gushing out of his neck, another student turns around and starts celebrating right there. And that's the video that we'll show right away. So let's get in it. So this individual turns around and you'll see that Charlie is down. People in the crowd are shocked, but they eventually begin to turn to flee the scene. And he has the presence of mind to stop and celebrate that a man was just gone down in front of his wife and children. So there he is celebrating. And you can see in the background, security is trying to get Charlie out of the premises, and he's celebrating. Friends, this is what leftist ideology produces. You can look, you can argue about how kind and nice you are as a leftist. It's easy to package a response and curate a response when you're consciously trying to argue a point and you want to present yourself as being on the moral high ground. But when you have a large portion of your group doing this, celebrating when a father was just killed gruesomely and you're celebrating, if this is what you are producing, then it's very evident that there's a problem with your movement. Jesus says, by their fruit you will know them. A good tree produces good fruit. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So we're going to look at the words that have been coming from various figures, public figures, and tell me what those words mean. And if you're in the comments section, rage commenting about how, no, it's not true, you're framing this wrong, I would like for you to do a video of your own and bring evidence of widespread conservative celebration when tragedy befalls someone on the left, and anyone on the left, anyone. Conservatives didn't celebrate the death of George Floyd because we see everyone as having a soul and everyone will stand before God. We see that as a precious thing. We don't take the death of whether they're righteous or even people who are criminals, we don't take it lightly. No one on the conservative side celebrates when someone is killed. So if you produce people in a society who celebrate the death of anyone you disagree with, there's a problem with your movement. Now let's see what Joe Biden has said over the years about not just Donald Trump, but anyone who agrees with Donald Trump. And this is Joe Biden. These are curated tweets. And of course, these can be backed up by speeches that Joe Biden has made. And we've heard him say these things during his speeches. He says Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Tell me if you've heard any Republican try to dehumanize an entire group who vote a certain way. Please do a video, do your own research, find them. Any Republican or anyone on in the conservative movement who has stepped out to say this group is a threat. Joe Biden, Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our democracy. Joe Biden, Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. When you use the word literally, you're saying this guy is actually this. It's not framing. It's not hyperbole. You're saying this is literally it. It's not, it's not a figure of speech. Literally means this is not a figure of speech. He is literally this. He said this on June 28, 2024. Joe Biden, Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, and we cannot let him win. We cannot let him win. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, talking to folks about what's at stake in this election. Joe Biden, Trump poses many threats to our country. The right to choose, civil rights, voting rights, and America's standing in the world. And you know what? People believe him, because most of the comments I've seen in my best performing video has people saying that the whole world believes that the United States is a joke because of Donald Trump. It's because of rhetoric coming from people like Joe Biden and Democrat leaders and mainstream media. But the greatest threat he poses is to our democracy. If we lose that, we lose everything. December 20th, 2023. And look at the views. 8 million views on that post. 4.6 million views on another post. Look, you can't say all of this and then when a tragedy happens on September 10th, you say there's no place in our country for this kind of violence. You created the place for that kind of violence with this kind of rhetoric. And this is one of the many statements that Gavin Newsom has made. And we're going to hear the same rhetoric coming through. And they've been doing this for years.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
So that's the kind of rhetoric that comes from Democrats. I haven't seen President Trump say anything like this ever. And they accuse him of fomenting violence and hate. The Democrats are the ones who continue to say stuff like this. And mainstream media thinks it's okay. And then the moment a conservative or a Republican stands up and says, enough is enough, they say, oh, that's hatred. They're being divisive. This is divisive. Stephen King, popular novelist. We all grew up hearing about his books. I was never a fan of his books. I have a cousin who was, or who I don't know if he still is. So I say was. Once social media started exposing these people, they just couldn't help themselves, but they just had to keep talking. And Stephen King has exposed himself as being one of the most Trump deranged individuals out there. He can't string together a kind word for anyone who doesn't agree with him politically. Charlie Kirk was just murdered. And here's what he had to say in a post that he made following that horrendous travesty that took place on September 10th. So a day after Stephen King, a day after Charlie Kirk was murdered, Stephen King responds to a tweet or a post by Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters was paying tribute to a man who was well respected, who was kind and treated everyone with dignity. Charlie Kirk was not a controversial or polarizing man. Charlie was a patriot. This is a turning point, and we all need to turn in the right direction. Rest in peace, my friend. They don't even give you the dignity to mourn someone you love. He had to jump right in and say he advocated stoning gays to death. Just saying. And then I think he adds this in the feed, and this is Charlie's words. He says, I believe in marriage. I believe marriage is one man, one woman. Also, gay people should be welcome in the conservative movement. He didn't say anything about stoning gays. As Christians, we are called to love everyone. I will always stand against people who wish to establish their own personal values as a reason to kick others out of our movement. This is what Charlie said. This is what he believed. And Stephen King, who can't help himself, he has to pick up lies. I don't know where he gets them. Maybe from MSNBC or CNN or whatever ecosystem or echo chamber he gets his news from or his information from, and he has to smear a good man by saying that he advocated stoning gays to death. Well, Dave Rubin, an openly gay conservative commentator, responds to this. He says, hey, Stephen King, you are more monstrous than any of the characters you ever came up with. Charlie was never anything but kind to me and my husband. We broke bread many times, and he never treated us with anything other than respect. He even came to our house not too long ago and, plot twist, didn't throw rocks at us. Write about that sometime, you hack. You know, the leftists, and I say this because it is true, they can't help themselves. The moment they think that they can't get away, that they can get away with something, they show who they really are. And because Stephen King got the signal from mainstream media and all the chatter on the internet, Ilhan Omar and Mehdi Hassan smearing Charlie's memory. His body is not even in the ground, and they are dancing on his grave. And he saw that as a signal to jump into the fray, to earn some points with his leftist friends and buddies. And he says this about a good man. Now, where does all this come from? Of course, we know that mainstream media is complicit. I've covered that already. But we do have college-educated people coming up with the most outlandish claims about Charlie. And the colleges hated him the most, or at least the leftists in those colleges, because he made them look like fools and total frauds. The same students that they thought they educated so well in these Ivy League schools with over $10,000, $20,000, in some cases $40,000 in student loans, couldn't argue a simple point with Charlie, who they would always try to label as uneducated, and they couldn't debate him and win. They were the very first to jump up and celebrate, as we will see from a post from an educator, no less, who is meant to teach our children how to be civilized, how to behave when tragedy happens. These are the people you're sending your kids to be educated. And then they come back to you as cultural Marxists or even communists. Now, this is from Libs of TikTok. And Libs of TikTok, if you don't know the account, is an account where people, regular everyday people who say things that are despicable and wrong, and who would be the first to advocate for someone to be cancelled, are called out when they say the most horrendous things on the internet. And the account says, oh my God, this person apparently works for Harvard and MIT. This is straight up evil. And this is what this individual posted. Can someone send me the video of Charlie Kirk being shot and his blood gushing out of his neck? I need something to brighten my mood next time the bupropion isn't doing enough. So he's on medication. This is who you're sending your kids to be educated. There have been professors, pilots, there have been professionals caught saying the most horrendous things. We're going to listen to comedians now, entertainers, and hear what they have to say. Because these are the guys, and both of these are black entertainers. And if you don't know, I'm black. So I'm not pulling any punches. Stephen King was white, but most of the people that have said the most horrific things are white. And now, let's look at the black community. The black community has a few nutcases. And the sad thing is, like Stephen King, these entertainers have benefited from the support and the business of even conservatives. Conservatives buy their books, conservatives attend their shows, buy their music, and they reward us by trampling the grave of someone who matters to us, and they don't care. The only time they care is when they see that there will be blowback and it's going to affect their pocketbook. So D.L. Hughley is a comedian. And what happens with these people is that when they believe that they are in their safe space, they feel like they can say anything because of freedom of speech, and there will be no consequences. And so they say these things to let you know who they really are. They are afforded great lives because you and I spend on their product, their entertainment. But they reveal to us who they really are in these times as evil, despicable human beings. I'm sure that he has never sat down to watch up to 1 hour of Charlie's debates. He's only repeating what he was told by MSNBC and his echo chamber. He says Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. He said horribly incendiary things. Asking questions and having a calm debate were horribly incendiary. Now, let's listen to this interview with Don Lemon, the one and only Don Lemon, the race grifter who got fired from CNN, and now he's going around making content, trying to be relevant, and he's failing at it, getting the most horrendous takes. His brand right now is radioactive, and when you call Don Lemon, it's like, okay, this is yet another horrible take, and this is another horrible take from Don Lemon.
They bantering the word assassination around Charlie Kirk was not a political figure. I mean, he might have been influential to political figures. He wasn't a political figure. He wasn't assassinated. He was shot.
So D.L. Hughley will be the first to tell you that Martin Luther King was assassinated. Okay? Was Martin Luther King a political figure? According to him, he wasn't a politician. Was Martin Luther King a political figure? But they will all say, yes, he was assassinated. It's the double standard that comes from the left. And when they scream racism, it's them telling you what's going on the inside of them. These people absolutely despise other races. I'm black and I'm calling them out. They absolutely despise other races. Anyone who doesn't look like them, they are jealous, they're envious of what those people are and what they have achieved, and they are not willing to do the work to achieve as much as they have. They can't look in the mirror and tell themselves the truth. We are the source of the problems that we're facing. So he can't help but try to downplay the catastrophe that took place. And he's trying to, make Charlie a regular guy. And why is he getting all the attention? That's envy speaking.
He was shot. And that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, that happens to far too many people. But those other two congressmen, they were political figures, and they were shot because of their political beliefs. And it's always like we can only have empathy for people if we relate to them, if we spark to them, if we have a tribal connection to them. It is a shame. And the thing that makes me the angriest about this is I always swore that I would never cede my humanity to anybody or any other situation, but that's getting more and more difficult to do because I certainly don't believe a young man, 31 years old, should have lost his life. But Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. He said horribly incendiary things. As a matter
So in the media training that most of these people have, they try to sandwich the actual thing that they're trying to say with politically correct statements. I don't want anyone to get shot, obviously. However, this person was a horrible human being. These people are absolutely despicable. Look, the mask is off. Don't trust them. Don't give them an inch. Okay? And when I say don't give them an inch, what I mean is this. In the past, you would believe anything you saw on TV. If someone walked up to you and showed you a clip of a comedian, you would believe that the persona that they put up during the skit is the person that you meet on the street. Not true. All that is scripted, all that is curated. The real human being shows up when he's driving and having a conversation with someone who he believes shares the same belief system as him. That's where the mask comes off. He can't help himself. He has to say exactly what he's thinking. And yes, someone will take this and say, well, you're not being charitable because didn't he just say he doesn't want anyone to get shot? That's the way they all talk. When I speak with people who lean heavily left, they start out with giving caveats. They layer a bunch of caveats, and I know what's coming. Once they start doing that, I can see what's coming, especially when they start their statements with, as a black man. You know what's coming. They're about to say something absolutely stupid and racist. Or when they say, as a combat veteran, they're about to say something absolutely stupid that negates anything that a combat veteran should know and practice. Or when someone tells you, with all due respect, you know you're about to get, no respect. So when you see these things happen again and again, it prepares you. And so D.L. Hughley, again, spewing vile words about a man who was horribly murdered in front of his family, calling him a horrible human being.
of fact, he died. The very last words he spoke were basically putting the onus of gun violence on gangs, which is a synonym for synonymous with black people. He blamed the very way he died was lying about black people with his last breath.
So here again, another racist statement from someone who is so envious about the achievements of a 31-year-old who built up a company with his own bare hands, achieved something that no one else has achieved in ever. He's envious. He hates that there's someone like Charlie Kirk in the world. He can't stand it, and he has to say all these things. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you're following my train of thoughts. I'm showing you these posts and these comments because when you see the pushback coming from conservatives in the coming days, you need to know where it's coming from, because it's been a while. It's been a lot of long suffering, patience, understanding, tolerance. But when the person that you have extended tolerance to refuses to be tolerant in their own way, or when it's their turn, then it's time to withdraw, that vulnerability and say, okay, it's time for us to draw the line and really have a conversation about what we don't agree with. Now that's D.L. Hughley. And honestly, playing the rest of his clip is just going to be more of the same.
And I just think the best thing I can say is that I hope he believed what he was saying. I hope he believed that lives being lost were worth it, so the Second Amendment can persevere. I hope he believed that there should be a lack of empathy. He was parsing between sympathy. Sympathy means we have a similarity.
So again, like he's doubling down and claiming that Charlie Kirk, did not believe in empathy. So we're going to skip on over to another entertainer, smiling and bouncing in his car at the thought of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Comedian Charleston White reportedly laughed about Charlie Kirk's death, claiming he doesn't care about Kirk. He doesn't care because Kirk was white. He went on to curse Kirk's children and wife, saying he has no concern for white-on-white crime, and continued to laugh. Now we're going to watch the video and see if this is true, because you and I are watching this for the first time. Yes, I should watch my content and make sure that I don't get caught out on some claims. But I'm confident enough that the clips actually are genuine. We'll listen to it, and if I get caught out, leave it in the comment section.
What's your opinions of Kirk's death? I don't give a fuck about Kirk's death. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about no white man dying. I don't give a fuck about no motherfucking white boy dying.
Now, these are the guys who claim that they are being that people are racist against them. I'll say something here, and it's going to be controversial, and I'll say it anyway. I've said for years that the most racist people on the planet are black people. And I'm a black man. I have lived in black communities all my life. Given the opportunity, they are the most racist people on the planet. Go to black countries. They carry out racism on themselves. It's called tribalism. You don't speak my language. You don't speak the dialect. You come from a different part of the country. It's controversial, but it's true.
My shit. Soon as a nigga hit the stage, they gon' ask if I can play the shit.
Okay.
Yeah, they want it back to back. They gon' ask if I can play the shit.
Okay, so there's obviously music, and I can't play this on.
About another white boy. I don't give a fuck about no white boy dying. I don't give a fuck about no Peckerwood getting shot. I don't give a fuck about no white boy getting killed.
Chill shit. We go 0-2. Real.
He has 2 kids. Fuck his kids. They give a fuck about that white boy kid. They probably autistic anyway. Give a fuck about that white boy kid. Fuck them kids.
Yeah, so these are the people who have shaped popular culture for the last 20 to 50 years. This is who they really are. This is who they really are. And speaking of culture being shaped, let's look at the products of these colleges. All right, so we have, or at least the products of popular culture. I'll say the colleges and popular culture. We're going to see a TikToker who, after the murder of Charlie Kirk, tells Candace Owens that she's probably next. And plot twist, this is coming from another black person. So this is the TikToker, and we're going to read the post under this video. So this TikToker says, well, now that Charlie Kirk's gone, Miss Candace Owens, I suggest you stay home with your white baby and your white husband and shut the F up and stay out of the limelight. Okay? Stay safe out there, girl. You're going to need it. So this is the kind of insanity that leftist rhetoric has bred. It's racism. He's calling out Candace Owens because she has a white husband and has mulatto children. And the envy that exudes from these communities is just disgusting. And they talk about vitriol, but the vitriol only flows one way.
Well, now that Charlie Kirk's gone, Miss Candace Owens, I suggest you stay home with your white baby and your white husband and shut the fuck up and stay out of the limelight. Okay? Stay safe out there, girl. You gonna need it.
Yeah, so with his mannerisms, you know which way he leans. For days, I've been saying that there's been stuff going on online that is absolutely despicable about how people celebrated the death of a good man. I'm reeling these things out because I think it's good for us to see what's out there for ourselves and confirm with our own eyes what we've been saying about leftist rhetorics for years and our concerns about the kind of people who educate our kids. There's another person who appears to be in the military putting out a post celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. So this is Petty Officer Highland. He has 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and he's openly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. All right. Now, all of these people believe that there's no consequence to their actions. They can speak in their so-called safe space and say and do whatever they like. Now, whatever the U.S. Army does about this it depends on what the U.S. Army does. But we're saying that this is widespread. It's in academia, it's in politics, it's in pop culture, and it's also in the military. This isn't something that is located in just one community. We've seen white people celebrate. We've seen black people celebrate. We've seen politicians be part of the problem of very incendiary speech. We've seen entertainers say things that they shouldn't be saying. Of course, their publicist is going to release a public apology, like Stephen King deleted his post. Well, you already showed us your hand. There's no point deleting the post. So let's hear what the private has to say.
If you're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, you're a bad person. You're going to hell. Man. Fuck Charlie Kirk. The off-ramp to the high road is closed. We are not going to be made to feel bad about y'all bullshit hero that consistently spewed harmful rhetoric, that consistently put people's lives in danger with the bullshit platform that he was given by all of you racist goofies. This has nothing to do with conservative versus liberal. This has nothing to do with Democrat.
Well, this is sad, but he's calling black conservatives racist. This is how out of touch people who sit all day and only listen to MSNBC and leftist talking heads. This is how out of touch they really are.
Versus Republican. This has nothing to do with the left versus the right, because that's what y'all gonna prop it up as. And the alleged suspect is an old white guy. But I bet the mainstream media won't be talking about white-on-white violence. They won't be talking about gun control. They're gonna say there was an isolated incident by a lone shooter. And they're gonna hold off the identity for as long as they can, and it's gonna end up being a white guy.
Well, that's what they actually do for black assailants. They hold off the identity for a long time. They refuse to show the picture of the person. They say the person was probably white when the footage and the video shows that they are actually black people. And then, I don't know where he gets his information from, but he is so grossly misinformed.
But we're not talking about these dangerous white men that just decide to get a gun and just start killing people. We're not going to be gaslit to feel bad about a terrible person.
Yeah, so Charlie Kirk is a terrible person.
Is what happened to him sad? Abso-fucking-lutely. However, fuck that guy. I don't condone what happened to him, but guess what? God's timing is always right.
Yeah, so this is the face of leftist ideology. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. This is what it's trained to think. It's a sad day when people who are charged with defending the rights of every U.S. citizen can go out there and dance on the grave of someone who never said a harmful word to another soul, at least that we can see on camera. And everyone who engaged him privately, even people who weren't Christians, who had every opportunity to say, look, I don't believe in God, and this is one other person who has made it, who has reinforced my ideology of, believing that organized Christianity is wrong. Everyone had good things to say about him. So the petty officer has spent a minute and 20 seconds cursing out and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. This is a long video, and like I said, this is a different season. It's so different. Things are so different. We can't do business as usual. We have to talk about this. We have to expose it. And maybe talking about it is like it's what Charlie did. He said, once we stop having conversation, the next thing is civil war. The first thing is you need to know what's going on out there. Why is it that when you turn on CNN and hear the conversations around Charlie, and then you change channel and go over to MSNBC, you hear the same twist or the same spin that he was divisive, he was a lightning rod, he was racist, he was homophobic. They say all these things, and then Stephen King hears it and then says he advocated for gays to be stoned. Is this attitude that created the tragedy that we've seen? From the aloof, envious attitude of prominent voices in the black community who have shaped popular culture like D.L. Hughley, to politicians like Joe Biden, the former president of the United States, consistently putting out hateful rhetoric and mainstream media running interference for him. We've seen the college student who asked him his last question basically say, look, I thought the violence was coming from the right, but I just witnessed it coming from the left. And then we've seen people on social media like the petty officer and the TikTok individual celebrating the death of a good man. And I've asked the question, show me where conservatives celebrated the death of anyone on the left. Anyone. Show me anywhere that happened. Put it in the comment section. I'll wait. Don't give me platitudes and well actuallys and all that. It's easy to find when people who believe leftist ideology do this. The internet is full of it. It's chock full of it. It's chock full of what the politicians have said, Democrats have said about Republicans and people who support Donald Trump. Those of you who are listening, if you're listening, you've had friends and family who have shunned you because you support Donald Trump. Let me know in the comments section if that is you. I've had family that, that don't give me the time of day because of my support for Trump. And I don't discuss politics with them because I know where that road leads. And I know that you do too. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you've watched this long, you're a super fan. I would like to invite you to, to connect deeper with me. Consider signing up for the membership on my monetized channel. Okay, if you're listening to this video on the channel that's over 10,000 subscribers, this is the monetized channel. Consider joining the membership or sending me a super thank or supporting me, so that we can keep this going. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share. That also helps a whole lot. I'll see you on the next one. God bless you.